You have knocked and knocked and knocked. You've tried to force the door open with discipline, with effort, with prayer, with plans, but it still will not open. And now you wonder, was I ever meant to walk through? I tell you now, yes, you were meant to walk through, but not as the man you were. The door was never the problem. The version of you standing at the door was. And until you transform that man, his thoughts, his fears, his beliefs, you will keep repeating the same season. This is not the hour to give up. This is the hour to wake up, because the shift you seek is not in your luck. It is in your identity. Everything will change the moment you do. So do not merely hear this speech. Receive it, submit to it, and act on it like your life depends on it, because it does. Part 1. The hidden law: you are being repositioned for power. If nothing is working, if every effort fails, if your will is breaking, you are not cursed. You are being called not by man, but by law, called not to quit, but to transform, called to shed the skin of what was, and rise into the man who is worthy of the blessing he once only dreamed of. But let me warn you, you may hear these words and yet remain unchanged. That is the tragedy of many, for men hear truth every day, but few listen as if their very life depended upon it, and fewer still act on what they've heard with decision, with obedience, with burning desire backed by faith. This is not another soft message to soothe your feelings. This is not a sermon to make you feel better about delay, about defeat, about drifting. This is a summons. If you receive it, not with indifference, but with conviction, everything will shift. But if you ignore it, you may remain in this dark season another year, another decade, another lifetime. The reason nothing is working is not because you are unlucky. It is not because God has abandoned you. It is not because the world is against you. The reason nothing is working is because you are being repositioned. And repositioning is not gentle. It does not ask for your permission. It tears. It removes. It rebuilds. Failure is not defeat. It is redirection by infinite intelligence. It is a spiritual signal that the structure you were building could not hold the weight of the success you asked for. It is the voice of God whispering, "This is not the way, there is more. But first you must become more." You asked for greatness, but greatness demands structure. And the first step to building the structure that can hold the blessing is the dismantling of the man who thought he was ready. You are not being punished. You are being prepared to carry what few ever possess. When nothing works, the ego is being dismantled. Your identity, your attachments, your false confidence, all are being shattered so that a deeper power may rise. This is the death of the old self, and it is painful. But it is necessary, for the man who walks in dominion must be reborn by fire. Do you believe Thomas Edison failed because he was incompetent? Do you think he stumbled 10,000 times on the path to the electric light by accident? Number. He was being shaped. Every defeat refined him. Every failure purified his desire. Every setback stripped away distraction until all that remained was certainty. And so it is with you. You are not in a season of collapse. You are in a season of refinement. You are being emptied, not to leave you hollow, but to make room. Room for clarity, room for power, room for a definite chief aim so great it could not be given to a man who still depended on comfort. Let go of the lie that this is random. Let go of the belief that life is cruel. Everything is exact. Everything is intentional. You are not where you are by accident. You are being repositioned for power, and the tools being used to reposition you are loss, silence, confusion, delay, and fire. You do not need to understand the test. You need to pass the test. And every test begins with the stripping of false identity. The man who fails in business, the man who loses the deal, the man who is rejected, is the man who has now been qualified to build again with spiritual intelligence. Infinite intelligence never allows a man to succeed in a form that would corrupt him. If success came too soon, it would feed your ego, not your character. It would make you proud, not purposeful. It would anchor you in comfort, not principle. And so it was withheld, not to destroy you, but to train you. You are being forced to see that your power does not lie in your possessions, not in applause, not in title. Your power lies in the unseen, in the part of you that cannot be taken, because it is built on law, on decision, on faith, on purpose. That is where true dominion is born. You are not falling apart. You are being repositioned for dominion. Repeat that aloud. Say it with certainty. I am not falling apart. I am being repositioned for dominion. Let this truth govern your mind from this day forward. Let it be the filter through which you interpret your pain, your setbacks, your delays. Because the moment you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin asking, what is this building within me? You become untouchable. Do you know what truly breaks a man? It is not failure. It is misinterpreting failure. It is believing that a no from life is a verdict, when in truth it is a redirection, a sacred detour, a divine correction to preserve your soul and position your steps. But only the man who listens will see it. Every successful man I have studied, Carnegie, Ford, Edison, Rockefeller, all of them were brought to their knees before they rose. All of them endured the furnace. Not one was handed power. They became power, and so must you. You must stop interpreting difficulty as rejection. You must begin to interpret it as preparation. You must stop blaming the world, blaming your past, blaming your delays, and take dominion over your inner world. Because until you do, the blessing will remain hidden from you. And it is hidden for a reason. God hides the blessing where only persistence and faith can find it. It is hidden because the man who will quit has no right to it. It is hidden because the man who complains has not yet earned it. It is hidden because the man who believes without proof, that is the man who will multiply it when it arrives. So listen now, not just with your ears, but with your decision. This is the hour where nothing working is your greatest gift. For now, your ears are open, your soul is searching, and if you listen, really listen, not casually, but as if your future depends on it, then everything will shift. This message has come to you now because you are ready, not ready for comfort, but ready for clarity, not ready for applause, but ready for action, not ready for a quick fix, but ready for the truth. And the truth is simple. You are being repositioned for power. Let us move forward. Let us go deeper. Let us face the next law with obedience, because now that you know the blessing is not denied, only delayed, you can walk through the fire with joy. You are not falling apart. You are rising. Part 2. The stripping. When life removes all that was never meant to stay. God cannot elevate what is still anchored to mediocrity. And yet most men, when they feel the ground shaking beneath them, beg for stability. They do not understand that what feels like collapse is not the end. It is the removal of everything they were never meant to carry into their next season of power. The blessing you asked for has weight, and a man cannot carry that weight while clinging to false identities, false comfort, and false relationships. So before he can rise, life will strip him, not gently, not slowly, but decisively. All that is unfit for the future must go. Do not curse the loss. Thank it. That job you lost, it was too small. That relationship that ended, it was misaligned with destiny. That opportunity that vanished, it was not designed to hold the size of your calling. What's been stripped is not your purpose. It is your dependency on what could not carry it. Abraham Lincoln did not rise to the presidency by collecting comforts. He rose by surviving fires, loss after loss, death in his family, business failure, political humiliation. But each removal, each painful subtraction, stripped away what was non-essential, until only vision and resolve remained. The stripping is sacred, but it is misunderstood. You say, why is this being taken from me? And I say, because it never belonged to the man you are becoming. That which served your old self cannot sustain your new self. You prayed to rise, so now you must release. You cannot carry both greatness and clutter. You cannot build an empire with hands full of baggage. You must empty. You must surrender. And you must do it without bitterness. For bitterness blocks blessing. Resentment chains the soul to what is gone. And you cannot fly while tied to yesterday. Let it go. Let the loss purify you. Let the disappointment refine you. Let the stripping strip you down to truth. Because once all the noise is gone, once all the scaffolding falls, you will see what is real. And what is real is always enough to rebuild from. Because what is real is you. You were never meant to build on sand, but as long as you were comfortable, you would have stayed. So God moved, He removed, He reordered, not because He hated you, but because He heard you. You said, make me great. And He responded, then I must take what is not. This is not rejection. This is realignment. This is pruning. And every tree that bears fruit must be cut, not because it failed, but because it is being prepared to grow more. The blade that cuts the branch is the same blade that multiplies the harvest. Do you see it now? You are not being punished. You are being positioned. You are not being cursed. You are being cleansed. And what hurts now will serve you later, if and only if you stop resisting and start releasing. Let what falls, fall. Let what dies, die. Trust that what remains is exactly what you need. Men cry over what was never meant to stay. They mourn the loss of what was temporary. But the man of faith, the man of decision, moves forward. He rebuilds not from comfort, but from conviction. He does not beg for what left. He blesses it and builds anew. Repeat after me. Everything being removed from me is making space for the life I asked for. I release what no longer belongs. I receive what is coming. This is not the time to panic. This is the time to prepare. Prepare your mind. Prepare your spirit. Prepare your plan. Because the space left by loss is now sacred ground. And what you plant next must be definite. Not based on fear, but on vision. This is where most men fail. They beg for restoration without correction. They want back what was without asking. Was it ever aligned? But I tell you, nothing leaves your life that was meant to build your future. And what remains must now be refined into power. Examine your attachments. Examine your habits. Examine your thoughts. What are you holding on to that life is trying to strip? Are you clinging to mediocrity out of fear? Are you chasing comfort while claiming you desire greatness? You cannot have both. Choose now and choose boldly. The man who builds his future must be willing to be emptied of his past. Let that sink in, because until you become willing to walk into a new season naked of old patterns, you will keep repeating what no longer serves you over and over until the lesson is learned. And the lesson is this: the stripping is not loss, it is leverage. It is leverage to push you higher, to break your dependency on what was, to break your addiction to approval, to free you from weak structure, to make you whole before you become wealthy. Wealth is not money. Wealth is order. Wealth is alignment, and only a stripped man can receive it, because only a stripped man can hold it without being destroyed by it. So if you feel bare, bless it. If you feel undone, thank God, you are being made ready. Speak this again. I am not losing. I am being prepared. I release what's leaving. I trust what's coming. I am ready. This is not a setback. This is the rearrangement of everything that no longer fits. And once this process is complete, you will not need what was. You will be more than you were. And you will be ready to build what you could not build before. Part 3, the delay, when God withholds results to build your identity. Delay is not denial. Delay is the voice of God asking, will you still believe when there is no sign? Will you act in faith, not in proof? Most men fail not because of hardship, but because they cannot endure the wait. They expect harvest while still sowing. They demand results without proving readiness. Let me say clearly, you do not receive success according to time. You receive it according to readiness. You receive it according to identity. If the man you are today cannot handle the blessing you seek, infinite intelligence will withhold it, not out of cruelty, but mercy. The season of delay is not wasted time. It is spiritual construction. It is mental refinement. It is where your future is built, not outside, but within. You are becoming the man who can command results, the man who does not fold when the plan takes longer, the man who acts from definiteness, not doubt. I know this delay well. When I was writing Think and Grow Rich, I had no audience, no guarantee, no proof. I did not know if the words I poured onto the page would ever see light. But I was under command. The delay was my classroom. The silence was my sanctuary. I persisted, and it came to pass. So too with you. If nothing is showing, keep sowing. If nothing is moving, keep believing. The law is working behind the veil. But the blessing does not come when the world believes in you. It comes when you believe without them. It comes when your faith no longer wavers at delay. Autosuggestion is your weapon in this hour. Repeat aloud your definite chief aim, morning and night, in silence and in doubt, in sorrow and in faith. You are not speaking to impress the world. You are speaking to instruct your subconscious mind. And once it believes, your world will follow. Every delay is a test of identity. Will you act like the man who expects success or the man who suspects failure? Will you move with confidence or wait for permission? You are not waiting for the world to say yes. You are waiting for your spirit to decide it is already done. Think of the farmer. He sows seed and does not dig it up every day to check its growth. He waters. He waits. He protects. He trusts the process of law. And in due season, it comes. But many of you dig up your seed every time delay knocks on the door, and so your harvest never roots. Do not confuse movement with momentum. God may stop the movement to increase your mental momentum, and that momentum, once complete, will break open the doors, not because you chase them, but because you became the man who could walk through them without shrinking. Repeat after me. I outlast time, I persist in delay, I trust the law, my reward is certain. Delay is not your enemy. Delay is your invitation to deeper obedience, to deeper belief, to mental mastery, to becoming one with your purpose, even when the outer world is still catching up to your inner man. If success came at your first attempt, it would be wasted. You would not value it. You would not know how to protect it. But delay builds the fortress around your purpose. It trains your eyes to see beyond results. It builds the man who can hold power without losing his principles. Every minute you spend waiting is a minute to refine your plan. Every hour of silence is an hour to fortify your vision. Every unanswered prayer is a chance to deepen your decision. God withholds to strengthen. He delays to harden your character. He hides the blessing to see if you will become worthy of it. So I ask you now, not how long have you waited, but who have you become while waiting? Have you drifted, or have you decided? Have you feared, or have you forged forward? Because the man who wins is not the man with the shortest path. It is the man who became unshakable on the longest one. All the men I studied, Ford, Carnegie, Edison, they were made in the invisible season. They were formed while no one clapped, no one supported, no one believed. And when their moment came, they were not surprised. They were ready. And so shall you be. Let the delay do its work. Let it expose your fears so you may crush them. Let it test your voice so you may command it. Let it challenge your pace so you may walk in discipline, not desperation. Because when the blessing comes, and it will, you will not wonder if it's real. You will recognize it. Repeat again with me. Delay is not denial. It is my preparation. It is my refining. I do not fear the wait. I master it. Everything will shift. But it will not shift until you do. Not until you are governed not by time, but by law. Not until you are no longer asking when, but saying, now is my season of obedience. That is the man who inherits his vision. That is the man who outlasts delay and walks in dominion. Part 4, the silence. Why heaven stops speaking before it delivers. There is a point in every journey where the heavens go silent. No answers, no signs, no confirmation. The voices that once cheered you vanish. The inspiration that once filled you dries up. The road ahead goes dim. And now you ask, where is the voice that once called me? But the silence is not a sign of abandonment. It is a test of alignment. God does not speak to those who depend on noise. He does not bless the man who must be spoon-fed assurance. Silence is the final classroom before the breakthrough. And only the man who can keep moving without the sound of applause is ready for influence. For a man must be governed by principle, not sensation. I learned this when writing Think and Grow Rich. There were months where the words would not come, days where the voice within went quiet. No recognition, no income, no signal that it mattered. But I had made a decision, and that decision did not need comfort. It needed commitment. So it is with you. The silence has come, not to scare you, but to separate you from the world's grip. In the silence, distractions fall away. The need for permission dies. The craving for encouragement is exposed. And now you are left alone with your thoughts. And your thoughts, if governed by law, will guide you through. Henry Ford was not applauded before he succeeded. He was ridiculed. He was dismissed. He worked in silence. He believed without being believed in. He designed without knowing when or if the world would catch up. That is the man who succeeds, the man who obeys the voice within even when it goes quiet. You must stop waiting for confirmation. Stop waiting for signs. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. If infinite intelligence gave you a vision, it is now your turn to act, even in silence, even in doubt, even when every outer indicator says quit, because that is the moment the inner man is either crowned or crushed. This is the hour where your subconscious mind is tested. Do you only move when prompted, or have you built the internal command center that acts by decision? Most men never do. They live by reaction. But you are not most men. You are being trained to walk by definiteness. You are not in a dead zone, you are in a divine zone. The silence is where God watches, not to see if you hear, but to see if you will walk by what you already know. This is the season where you prove that you are no longer a child of motivation, but a man of mastery. Repeat aloud with me, I no longer wait for a voice. I am the voice. I obey the law. I move in silence, and I do not stop. Do not be fooled. Most quit in silence. They mistake silence for rejection. They turn back not because they were defeated, but because they mistook stillness for death. But the seed does not sprout in noise. It germinates quietly below the surface. The work that matters most is always done in the dark. This silence is sharpening your ability to hear within. You are learning to trust yourself, to listen to the echo of your own affirmation, to walk with your definite chief aim held firm in your spirit. Because once you become obedient in silence, you will never again be ruled by the noise of the crowd. This is why I teach autosuggestion. Because in silence, your voice must become the voice. No outside influence can shape your direction. You must take the wheel of thought. Declare what is real, even when no man agrees. Repeat the aim, repeat the law, repeat the belief until you believe it more than the world doubts it. You are not being ignored. You are